So, before I start talking about the scripts of languages of the world, I have to inform you that I'm in my underwear. Now we can begin. This is Hindi script. India is a very wet country except Rajasthan and such. So they have to hang their letters out to dry, as you can see. And since it's a monsoon country, it's always raining, which means they can never dry, so they're always hung out to dry. That's Hindi, according to me. Then you have Tamil, which has 666 everywhere. I don't like 666 because it's a satanic number. But there it is, in plain sight. 666. This 6 is like two sixes combined. They love 666. What is wrong with them? No offense. Oh, you already disliked my video. Oh, you already unsubscribed. Well, guess I'm not going to get your money then. But it doesn't matter because I don't get money out of this. Ha. Also, I don't live in your country, so I don't have to go out of my way to respect your country. And you know what? I want to learn Tamil. I don't like 666, but I want to learn Tamil because it's nice. But when Southern Indians talk, it sounds like fast Spanish multiplied 3 times. That's how fast it sounds. So it's going to be a challenge. My tongue is gonna twist, and it's gonna hurt if I learn. But I plan to learn because I like Southern India, not just Northern. Most people focus on the North, but I know the South has glory too. And beautiful women. Now this is Arabic. It is the most beautiful language I have ever heard. And I plan to learn, of course. Pretty much every language here I plan to learn. It'll take a long time, but I'm serious about that. Be fluent in some and decent in all that I plan to learn, which is about 40 languages. Anyway, Arabic script looks like snakes. You see the tail? Lots of snakes here. So this is an orgy of snakes. Them's facts. Now you got Cyrillic, also known as communist, also known as Russian. Now, if you have seen the GigaChad YouTuber, I forgot his name. I think his name is the Language Simp. He's pretty funny, and he inspired me to do this video because he takes languages not so seriously because it's fun. Now this probably says da, which means yes in Russian. He's saying, yes, we must impose atheism on everyone by murdering them. Atheism for the win. Atheism spread by communist holocaust. But that's a digression. Every video of mine has to have at least one digression. It is a tradition. So what does Cyrillic script look like? Well, this is a backwards R, of course. So this says RAM. Either random access memory, except back then they didn't have computers to the extent as we do now, as advanced as now, but I think they did have computers. So maybe it does mean random access memory, or it means the RAM, animal RAM. Anyway, Cyrillic looks like this. Latin seen from the opposite side of where you're supposed to face it. Like if you're entering a restaurant and the words face the other way in a transparent, also known as normal glass screen door. I mean, look at it. Pretty similar in some ways. Next we have Khmer. Now what is Khmer? It is Khmer. Most people say Khmer because it says Khmer, but Khmer is actually Khmer because French and logic don't get along sometimes when it comes to, well, they just like to add letters they don't pronounce. So what does Khmer script look like? Well, I'm going to have to be careful on this language or they'll murder me. So let me just say I'm moving on. Here we have Thai. Thai script is full of 666, just like the other script I covered, Tamil. Now, Thai script is probably from India. Southeast Asians get their script from India, pretty much all of them. except the Vietnamese who today use the Latin script in a modified form, which I plan to get to later in this video, if God permits. So here you have a backward 6, a 9, which is a 6 upside down, a 6, so that's a 666 is everywhere. Here you have a crescent moon, because Thailand is being invaded by Muslims in the south. They're next to Malaysia, aren't they? So we already see Islam taking over Thailand. Now here we have Vietnamese. I don't live in Vietnam, so I'm going to say it. I don't like how it sounds, but I plan to learn your language because it's useful. However, if a hot, beautiful woman speaks Vietnamese, it'll probably sound great. So NH is like the Portuguese version of Enye, the Spanish N with a thingy on top, with the monobrow or single eyebrow, or halo, or hairdo. So Nyung is probably what this says, except you have to use a roller coaster tone here. So Nyung. Tien means heaven in Chinese, and the Chinese influenced the Vietnamese, so it's probably saying heaven or sky or similar. So Nyung Tien probably means, I don't know. So here's an I with a diacritic going opposite Spanish, and an A with a correct diacritic going to the right. I don't know what else to say about this. Oh, this is a crescent moon on A, so Islam is taking over Vietnam also. And here you have, someone would say it's basically a pyramid, so Illuminati confirmed, but those would be strawman fallacies. You have to consider context for when the so-called Illuminati is applicable. Next one. This is Korean, and at first they used Chinese script, I think, but then they were like, wait a minute, we should have our own identity. Let's invent our own language, said a king. So then they simplified Chinese and made it look like this, which looks like either an alien language, if aliens existed, or just like a kid's version of Chinese if they try to represent it from memory. Next we have traditional Chinese script, which is the most beautiful Mongoloid language. No, Mongoloid is not a racist term. I love the Chinese. The Chinese are children of Adam and Eve, just like me. So they are my brothers. They are not an inferior race. See my series exposing the overrated, second biggest British Empire, where I prove that Darwin wanted all Chinese people exterminated. That's right. If you're Chinese and you follow Darwin's myth, you are a self-hating Chinese. Don't do so. Or if you're African or Native American or Asian of some other stock. So why is it so beautiful? Why is traditional Chinese so beautiful? Well, first of all, it's very neatly put into boxes. So you don't have to think outside the box. And China doesn't really encourage thinking outside the box. So it's very Chinese. And what makes it very beautiful, besides the order, because order is beautiful, and that explains why my hair isn't so beautiful. It's beautiful also because there's like a balance, not too much on either side, right? Here you have some symmetry going on. I don't know, I just can't put my finger on what makes it so beautiful besides those reasons, but I know there's more to it than that. Next you have simplified Chinese, also known as communist, watered down, inferior Chinese script, which is just the communist atheist attempt to eradicate any religious elements in Chinese, because the original Chinese worshipped a god whom they called Shangdi, I think. Shangdi. Next, Japanese, which has more than one script. I think hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Kanji being from Chinese. I plan to learn Japanese and Chinese and the other Chinese at the same time. And Korean and Mongolian and Khmer and Vietnamese and more. Because I'm crazy. Not really, but sort of. So what does Japanese look like? Well, it looks cool. That's what it looks like. And this looks like a person in a very simplified form. I know that I think if it's just the TP without the bar across it, I think that means run or Jin. But I haven't really gotten to that yet, so I'm not sure. So this is one of the native Japanese scripts, I think katakana. And it looks like hairs put on a table, arranged to look like a script, and this is a happy face. So it's very nice and simple. I love that their periods aren't dots, they're circles. So that's very nice. That's a very nice feature of this script. Next we got, I think this is Armenian. Hayastan. I plan to learn Armenian also, and they are my brothers on the other side of Europe, from my Spanish side, which I was never in, but I did fly over France and got to Zurich before I went to China and beyond. So what does this look like? A lot of W's, M's upside down, N's that extend because they need a haircut, and an H that also extends because they let it grow a lot. And then you have what else? This is an O that extends. So they like to extend things. This looks like a U and a T combined. So this could be a Q upside down, actually. I think my cursor is lit up right now, but it's not showing while I record this. This is an L. So it's like Latin script, but if you take away at least half of the letters and put a bunch of them upside down. So it's very simple. It's got a lot of up and down all over the place. And that's how you describe Armenian. Akkadian is cool. And it looks like a primitive video game. Like these are supposed to be spaceships flying around. But it's, ancient aliens, confirmed, right? No, that's nonsense. I plan to do a video on how stupid belief in aliens is. No offense intended, but you'll be offended anyway, won't you? Mayan hieroglyphs are just cool, and they don't look like anything. They just look awesome. As covered with the Chinese traditional script, especially, putting them in boxes makes them very neat and nice. It adds for beauty. So here you see a Native American guy or a woman. I love that I was born between the Mayan civilization, Incan, and Aztec, all of whose people still survive today, and their languages actually, because my people did not genocide them, like gullible people believe. Then you have Egyptian. Their hieroglyphs are amazing and cool. God forbids idolatry. He forbids making an image to treat as a god. So, that's why Hebrew is a very simple, and I forgot to include Hebrew in the pictures, but I'm going to mention it here. That's why Hebrew is a very simple language. Now, Paleo-Hebrew isn't actually a Hebrew. It's just Hebrew transliterated into Phoenician script. So it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's a real thing, but the name is a hoax because it's not really Hebrew. It's just a transliteration. Like if you write kamikaze with Latin script, KamiKaze, that's not neo-modern Japanese script. That's just Japanese put into Latin script. Same with Paleo-Hebrew. It's not really Hebrew. Anyway, Hebrew is a very simple language and doesn't really look like anything that is an animal, for example. So that's consistent with what God said about not making graven images and stuff. But ancient Egyptian is very awesome. I love it, and I plan to learn it if possible. And Coptic too, because Coptic, if you know Coptic and how they pronounce things, then that'll help you with ancient Egyptian, since Coptic comes from ancient Egyptian. In part 2, I plan to cover Amharic and more.